Sorry there, guys. I think my stream froze for a little bit there. We have got started. Anyone who doesn't know anything about this run, and really, we're on like week 9 by now, so how have you not been here watching? This is the equipment glitch. It's the main thing that makes the Final Fantasy PSP run different from the other categories. It means that we can very quickly get extremely powerful armor and weapons. You know, within the first 20 minutes, half an hour of the game, we will have the most powerful weapon in the game, which includes the optional dungeons added just to the PSP. So we will have a weapon that is way too powerful for the part where we are at the moment. Currently, we've just got armor that's too powerful for where we are at the moment, but that means that any of the encounters that we're about to see, they'll pretty much only hit us for like 1 HP. So we've made sure we're safe, and we're heading off to the first boss battle against Garland, who's up in the Chaos Shrine. He's kidnapped a princess. We've got to go get her. You know, same old, usual RPG storyline. Get princess, profit. So yeah, you'll see the runners just fleeing from everything, just trying to get there as fast as possible. Most of this run, if you haven't seen it before, is basically a fleeing simulator. That's what you want to see. What you don't want to see is enemies actually attacking you, because that's when things get dangerous. So yeah, we just glitched ourselves some armor, and we've just picked up something that allows us to glitch ourselves a weapon for our first boss fight. That's the leather cap, and it allows us to glitch the Judgment Staff. Judgment Staff is a very powerful staff in its own right. Also, if we use it as an item in battle, allows us to cast Flare, the most powerful spell in the game. So, not a bad thing to have in 2 minutes and 22 seconds. We won't be casting Flare on many things in the game, though, because it takes a very long time to cast. So, you know, we'll be trying to keep that to a minimum, but you will see it used quite a bit. What's step 2? Oh, what? Save Princess was step 1. Step 2 was drag her back to her father, whether she likes it or not. Step 3, profit. Step 4, get built a bridge, because you're the Warriors of Light. What is the purpose of this party composition if you can get Judgment Staff? Excellent question. We don't actually use the Black Mage very much in... I'm not sure about Poorscythe, actually. Definitely in Shinbreaker's route. The Black Mage is mostly there to use the spells Haste and Teleport. He also is like the only one who can... Basically, he's there for function, not particularly being useful. The properties of the equipment glitch mean that some equipment you can only create if you've got a character who can use the item in the first place. And then from there, you're free to glitch it onto all the other characters. But you have to have that character who can use the thing in the first place. Poorscythe, however, may be using his Black Mage. I think he uses the Black Mage route. We can see 2 different routes here. I think he uses his Black Mage to cast spells, whereas Shinbreaker will be using his White Mage to cast offensive spells with items. Just a little bit of a difference. Doesn't make that much time difference between them. It's just one of them picks things up, one of them buys spells. So yeah, we've brought Sarah back. We have got a bridge. And we're going to skip the prologue, being the only console where you can skip the prologue, which is great. And head off to the next town, which is the town of Provoker. Also, Loilru, I'm going to absolutely butcher that name. We also don't really need the warrior. We have him so that we can glitch equipment as well. Also, he just kind of tanks for the early game. And we don't need the white mage that much. We need a mage for the intelligence so that they can do the magic, but it doesn't have to be a white mage. We just need her for healing in basically the very last battle. The only one we really need is the thief, because with the equipment glitch, he's really OP because he hits so many times in one turn. So if you give him a really powerful weapon and he hits multiple times with it, profit. Yeah, on Poorscythe's screen here, he got a good run to Provoker there. These guys have been terrorizing the town, so we're going to take out some pirates with our judgment stuff. That was the first use of flare there that you just saw. And what both of these runners will be looking for is hopefully a leather shield drop. I think it's like a 25% chance of dropping here. Poorscythe didn't get it. It saves about 10-15 seconds. Stops you from having to go in shops here. Oh, I could be wrong here. Poorscythe might be using the white mage route. You should probably know this by now. Is it just me, or are the graphics for the original better? No. I mean, you can say many things for the original versus this version. Definitely better graphics. Much shinier. Yeah, tactical nuke. That's a great word for it. Heroes leave with free boat. Woo! Heroes discover the boat kind of sucks because sea encounters are rubbish. At this point in the game, we haven't got anything equipped that makes it easier for us to run. So these guys are really fast, and it's really hard to escape from things on the ship. I mean, lots of my fellow commentators have pointed out it's quite hard to run from things when you're on a ship, because they'll just follow you around the boat. But yeah, so you don't want to get too many sea encounters. Luckily, the encounter rate is considerably reduced in the sea. Poorscythe making good time. He has already made it to Elfheim. We're skipping that part, which is probably the part where we actually get given instructions on where to go. But we skip that. We don't need that. We will be heading through lots of wolf encounters, through the forest, and heading down to the marsh cave. Both Poorscythe and Shin here taking a little bit of a shortcut through the castle. Just stops you having so many encounters that you can get, or tiles that you can get encounters on. It's hoping for randomizer. Sorry, no, we have enough RNG in the any percent right without the without any added RNG. Thank you. It's already a bit like gambling running this game. So yeah, Marsh Cave, first dungeon, very chill, very easy, very low encounter rate, don't have too many things to fight, or run away from in our case. And we're just going to head down to the third floor, where we are going to be fighting the Pisca Demons. They are the first spike tile we'll encounter. That means that the tile in front of a chest that we want to get, basically, to walk over that tile, you have to get an encounter. So it's basically a boss, just not officially a boss. Oh geez, and on Shin's side here, getting one of the worst possible encounters for this part of the game. Undead characters, undead enemies even, sorry. Every time they hit your character, there's a chance to paralyze them. Paralysis, of course, means that your characters can't do anything. And it's a random chance that they'll break out of that paralysis. So if your whole party get paralocked, you've just got to sit there and wait until the game just kind of lets you go, which can be anything up to like 2-3 minutes, if you're really unlucky. Luckily, Shin there, escaping and doing the smart thing and using the judgment staff to get out of there safely. Meanwhile, Poorscythe also used judgment staff to kill off the Pisca Demons. And he's picked up the crown, which is our first key item. Starting off our fetch quest here. And Shin getting a very good run through the marsh cave, meaning that he's caught up there, despite his unfortunate power lock. Nice walk out for Poorscythe. Yeah, it starts you off easy with that dungeon. It's nice and easy to walk out. Don't get used to it. Oh wow, and Shin with more undead. It's gonna be one of those runs, huh? And Poorscythe making good time up to the Western Keep, where look at this jolly old king that we have just met. Look, let's give him his crown back. Oh wait, he's gonna try and kill us. This is Astos. He's not very friendly. He tells us that it's useless to resist, and he has the instant death spell, which he may or may not use here. Nope, just a physical attack. That's always nice. We can one-turn him if our Judgment Staff rolls are high enough with our White Mage here. Not looking great there. Meanwhile, Shin trying to escape from wolves, another enemy with really high agility. Yeah, you don't want to see too many wolf encounters. They come in massive packs as well, so they're really quite horrible to run from. They will try and get in every one of their 9 attacks before you can run, if you can run. And Astos down. And this guy's doing a little bit of high-fiving here. Shin going in to kill him, as Poorscythe comes out with the eyeball. Yes, I said eyeball. Crystal Eye is the key item that we get from killing Astos. And we know exactly where to take that now, so we're going to head back to the ship and take the Crystal Eye to its rightful owner. And Astos being very nice to both these runners today. Undead, not so much. And we might well see the runners duck into Elfheim here, as Poorscythe just has. Pick up some gold needles. One of the next places that we're going to head to, there are enemies that can petrify. If your entire party gets petrified in this game, it's game over. Obviously, we don't want that. And Shin, they're deciding not to get the gold needles, despite accidentally walking in. I assume he'll get it on the way back. Meanwhile, wolves having their way with Poorscythe, as usual. Also, you notice both of these runners didn't actually park the boat the closest to the dock that they could. That's because you can't get encounters on dock tiles. So, you know, it's a nice little toss-up between it's a bit faster moving the boat compared to walking, but you can absolutely be certain that on those tiles you won't be getting an encounter which won't lose you 10 to 30 to 200 seconds. So being safe, always better to try and avoid encounters rather than taking the fast way. More high fives. All the high fives today. Sorry guys, excuse me, I've got a bit of a croaky throat, so if there's not too much going on, I will try and keep quiet, if that's okay with you. Please feel free to ask any questions if there's anything you don't understand, anything I'm not explaining. That's fine, I can do that. I will just probably be trying to keep the talking to a minimum. Can I explain why the time switched between green and red? Yes, I can. Basically, I think these guys are both running against their PBs. So once they've got past their PB split, Poorscythe, for example, here will be doing his Jolt Tonic split, which he's about to get in a minute. However, in his PB, he probably got it at least a minute ago. So if the timer is red, that means that he's well, if it's kind of like pink, that means that he's behind his split but not losing time. And if it goes kind of dark red, that means that he's behind his split and losing time. Green means he's saving time, as Shin appears to be at the moment. I don't think Shin probably isn't running against his PB splits right now. You know, sometimes when you're doing a race, you know you can't reset. You know it's not going to be a very good time. You probably just run against something that's a little less demoralizing to run against. Uh-oh, of course I'm having a little bit of a problem here. It's not like him at all. He's usually got excellent menus. And that's let Shin catch up. So let's see what Shin can do with this menu. This is the Thief's Armlet menu, by the way. I forgot to mention that one. This is the first of our agility boosting equipments. We will be putting them on every armor slot that we can. And Shin having a little bit of trouble here as well. But yeah, there's +5 agility on every slot that we put it on. We're putting 3 of them on each character. So that is +60 agility total. If I can do maths. Which will give us a massive boost in trying to run away from things. Yeah, one of the big things that you can control in FF1, because 90% of this game is RNG, like, you know, how many encounters you get, what encounters you get, whether they're an ambush, whether you can run away from them or not. You can't control any of that. But you can control how fast your menus are, so that is one of the things that you want to try and get as fast as you can, as reliably as you can. So otherwise you can lose quite a bit of time on them. +80? Wait, I thought it was +5 for each one. So 15 times 4. Can I maths, chat? Am I able to maths? Help. So yeah, I haven't really explained what's been going on here. The elf prince who we rescued with the Jolt Tonic gave us the Mystic Key, something special key. And we have used that to get into various castle storerooms and just nick their stuff, including the nitro powder, which we are now blowing up a continent with. We don't worry about global warming, this is fantasy. So yeah, look, we're just gonna knock over a cliff and boom, easy canal. So we can get out of the continent now and go see the rest of the world. Shin, how are you messing with me while running? This isn't fair. More high fives. Loving all the high fives today. Always nice when your runners are close enough that one of them's going into the place while the other one's leaving it. Yeah, these guys are pretty steadily about the same distance from each other so far. I think Shin may have lost a bit of time on that many. Poorscythe losing a bit of time trying to run from the Sahagins. Oh, everyone loves Sahagins. They are such a pain. Even with the agility boosting equipment, they're still a pain. So yeah, this is one of the most important equipment glitches in the game. Also, Poorscythe doing some quick selling of one of the things that he glitched earlier. And that lightning fast menu you just saw was him making the barbarian sword. And when I say making, obviously, he's not actually making it, but that's the magic of the equipment glitch. The barbarian sword is a very rare sword that you actually get from beating the optional boss at the end of the hardest optional dungeon on the hardest difficulty. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to press a button and it's going to magically appear. But it means that we have a ridiculously powerful weapon that, I think someone said it was like 2 to 3 times as strong as the Excalibur from the original Final Fantasy. And that was obviously, the strongest weapon then. So yeah, it basically means we can one-shot everything from kind of now till just before the final dungeon, which is nice. It means that boss fights are going to be a lot easier. From here till very near the end of the game, it's not going to be boss fights we're worrying about. It's going to be random encounters. But don't worry. You don't think it is really easy here because we're still ridiculously underleveled and very squishy, and any ambushes can completely wreck us. So don't worry. Oh, sorry, yeah, Masamune, not Excalibur. My bad. We don't see either of them in this run, because we've got the Barbarian Sword. That's all we need. Oh no, I mean one-shot bosses. We one-shot all the bosses. That was a boss right then that I almost didn't notice on Poorscythe's screen. Vampire goes down in one hit. Also, the revisitation of our friends the Pisca Demons on this floor of the Cavern of Earth. I didn't even mention the Cavern of Earth. This is kind of the first place where there is a danger of death. The petrification that I mentioned earlier is a possibility. We haven't actually seen any of those yet. That's a prime example of Commentator Curse. No, we didn't get it. But yeah. And also the Pisca Demons, they can't kill you really, but they can slow you down because you do have to kill them. You can't run from them. Also, Wraiths are the strongest undead here, and they're a bit of a pain to run from. Also, of course, they've got the usual paralysis problem. So yeah, this isn't the nastiest place in the game by far, but it's the first place that you kind of got to worry about the encounters and whether you're going to get wrecked by them. So yeah, we've gone in, down to the 3rd floor, got attacked by a vampire randomly, and then we're going to have to take the Star Ruby that was behind him, head back out, give the Star Ruby to a giant who really likes eating rubies, don't ask questions, and then we need to go and get the Earth Rod from not very far away, but far enough away to be annoying, and then head all the way back down to the 5th floor. In some other versions of the game, we would waste time getting an emergency exit to try and save ourselves the pain of having to go all the way out again after going in. But it's actually slower in this version of the game to get the emergency exit than it is to just make our way out as fast as we can. You know, like the TAS, if there was a TAS, would probably get the emergency exit. But it's a 1 in 6 chance of getting it on the ship by playing the 15 puzzle. So, considering that takes 30 seconds, could be up to 3 minutes. Much more likely to just run out as fast as you can. Some runners, of course, don't believe me, don't agree with me, and do the 15 puzzle apparently just for fun. So, you know, whatever works for them. Neither of these guys taking on the 15 puzzle today, though. So, Poorscythe just picking up the Earth Rod from some random wizard in a cave. You know, typical RPG. If you don't know what to do, go find a wizard in a cave. And Shin also making his way out. You'll notice the bats flying around, by the way. They've been in several of the dungeons. They will be in several more of the dungeons. They're possibly the most annoying of the NPCs that float around. Partly because, you know, they're in an actual dungeon where you can get encounters. And they will get in your way as much as they can. But yeah, they can actually block you because these corridors are quite narrow and they only move 1 tile at a time, so you just have to kind of wait for them to move out the way if they're in your way. And double ambushes from the gargoyles here. Thank you very much, guys. Well, you see a bit of a graphical difference here. I think Shin is running on emulator, and I believe Poorscythe is running on console. Doesn't actually make that much of a difference. Saving is a little bit slower on console. Graphics are a little bit dodgy on emulator. But no, we both run on the same leaderboards, so it doesn't make very much of a difference other than just what we're looking at. And that is another wolf ambush that Shin does not need right now. I swear, when you're running this game, it's quite a fast-paced game to run. And you run into an 8-wolf ambush, it feels like it goes on forever. Now, you notice Shin there is taking a quick heal because his warrior is a bit low on health. However, has not healed to full. He will be keeping his thief and his warrior somewhere below 70 HP until partway through the game when we need to grind, because we will be killing off the warrior and the thief so that we can get more EXP for the Black Mage and the White Mage. We'll need to get them up to level 19 so that they can buy some spells. But yeah, more on that later. Poorscythe is getting quite a lead here. This is kind of the point in the game where you can either have very nice Cavern of Earth and everything goes your way, or it can be a complete mess and you can just watch time bleed away. But yeah, like, I think we've always got to emphasize this whenever we're commentating this game. This game is so much RNG. Both of these guys are doing a great job right now. You know, other than a little bit of menuing problems, and even those weren't really problems, they were just, you know, slight difference in speed. They're both doing fine. Everything is going perfectly as far as they can make it happen. But RNG just likes some of us and doesn't like others of us, and you know, so far Poorscythe had a pretty good run. He's going to have maybe a sub 32 lich here, possibly sub 33 at least. And meanwhile, Shin really suffering. It's that another wolf ambush. Ugh. Poor Shin. So, Lich. He's the guy we went into the Cavern of Earth to get to. I was about to tell you how much of a big deal he can be. Poorscythe has just killed him very quickly, one turn. But yeah, Lich either goes down that quickly and that easily, or he's got one spell that at our level can one-shot the entire party. We don't bother healing, because even at max HP, we wouldn't necessarily survive it. But yeah, his Blizzara spell, if he outspeeds you, casts that at the beginning of the battle, it's basically game over. So we just save just beforehand, and if we have to, we reload the save. It's faster than worrying about HP or defense or, you know, protecting yourself. Much faster rather than grinding, just to hope he doesn't cast it. And that's what happened for Poorscythe, and he's making his way through. Time to leave. And I noticed that both these runners are really going for it today. Quite often, if you were in a race setting, you might consider taking a safety save on this floor. Because, as I mentioned, there are some things that can completely wreck you here. Neither of these runners are taking safety saves here, so they're really trying to go for it. Really taking each other seriously, trying to go as fast as possible. Unfortunately, that might mean that if they haven't got a save at some point, either they could lose a hell of a lot of time, or we might possibly see a forfeit if something goes really badly for one of them. So it's a bit of a risky strategy, but they are definitely going for it, both of them. Hopefully Shin will at least safety save before Lich, because we have seen so many deaths to Lich in this tournament. Shin, in particular, currently holds the record for Lich resets at, I believe, 4 resets. Possibly, it might have been 5 resets. But yeah, Lich doesn't really like Shin. So, well, apparently nothing really likes Shin at the moment. I'm taking a look at these undead on his screen right now. I hope that was a judgment staff that she just used. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he just defended, in which case that would be another turn lost. And again, lots of time lost, but making his way out of that paralock. And meanwhile, Poorscythe has just got on his boat and made his way to Crescent Lake, where he's going to be doing a quick bit of shopping. And with shopping in this game, always comes the equipment glitch. So this is our next agility upgrade. We will be glitching the black garbs onto 3 of our characters due to the constraints that I mentioned earlier. We will not be glitching them onto our knight, because he's the only one who can actually use the things that we're buying, which means that he can only glitch them onto adjacent characters. So he's going to be going, you know, garbless for a bit, but we're going to kill him off in a minute anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Meanwhile, Shin takes on Lich, and he's playing nice today. Oh, Shin must have been doing a bit of butt clenching there. Please don't kill me again, Lich. Yeah, this is another menu that, you know, if it doesn't go well, take quite a lot of time off you. But Poorscythe doing pretty good there. Could definitely make quite a big difference, that one. Like, I've seen racers overtake each other just with that menu. And yeah, now that he's killed Lich, he can go get the canoe from those guys over there. They're all like prophets or something. But yeah, more to the point, they give you a boat. So ignore all of the prophecies and the advice and the sages and stuff. Just get the boat, get out. Didn't even have to kill pirates for it this time. Ah, yeah, good point. I didn't mention the Last Daggers. Most of us nowadays go Last Dagger on the mages. It is very useful because it allows them to usually take the first turn against enemies where we need to cast spells. So sometimes that lets the black mage cast haste first. Sometimes it lets the white mage cast if you take the white mage route, lets them do their offensive spells first. Also, we're about to go and grind on an enemy that's got decent speed. If we've got all our black garbs on and our lust daggers on, we can pretty much ascertain that we are always going to get the first turn, which is great because we are very underleveled for this place. Yeah, lust daggers give you a decent agility increase. They're also pretty powerful in their own right. They let us at this point in the game do about 200 damage, which is pretty nice. Almost enough to kill everything in here, I think. But yeah, welcome to Cold Frosty Hell. And it's opening with our favourite guys, the Pisca Demon, who we still have to judgment staff at this point in the game. But yeah, Cavern of Ice is basically the cavern of a million ways to die. We've seen plenty of runners in this tournament already being killed by the Cavern of Ice, and it's lovely ambushes. So let's hope that the runners don't see any of them today. Cockatrices! These are the guys that I was talking about earlier who can petrify you with one hit. There you go. Thank you for that example, Mr. Cockatrice. That's actually not a bad thing at this point because, as I said, we're trying to kill off our thief and our warrior. So currently, petrification counts as dead for EXP purposes. So that's one down. And that is the very rare 1 in 64 White Dragon encounter, which is great as a preemptive and terrible as an ambush. So Poorscythe got very lucky there. Meanwhile, Shin just done his menu. I believe he's also going Last Dagger strats and picking up Canoe. So Shin probably about 2 minutes behind, but you know, staying comfortably about the same distance behind. Poorscythe getting all the rare encounters here. Ice Gigases, they're unrunnable, and they've got pretty high HP. You either need to Judgment Staff them, which I think possibly you might not be able to do at this point in the game because Intelligence stat isn't high enough. Or just give him a whack with the Barbarian Sword. Or the Lust Dagger. Now we just need that 1 in 64 War-Mech encounter. Yep, that's what we always want to see. Also, you know, we're pretty much making this a full roster of all the horrible encounters in the Ice Cavern, so let's see a couple more of those. Come on, Poorscythe. Show us what you can do. He's gonna kill me. We all want to see a nice even race though, right? Let's see some Dark Wizards. More Ice Gigases! Hooray! Giving Shin a bit of a chance to catch up. And welcome to the reason that we've come to the Cavern of Ice. Partly that little diamond thing. That is called the Levystone. And it will let us levitate an airship out of the desert. But also, this guy, who's the spike tile just in front of the Levystone, he is a very high EXP monster, very low HP, and if you outspeed him, he's very easy to kill. And we kind of just walk on and off this tile until we get enough EXP, and then we leave. Ooh, Poorscythe not even bothering healing here. As I mentioned, the reason that we kept our Warrior and Thief at about 70 HP is because he has an attack that does about 70 damage to the whole party. It's very rare for him to outspeed the White Mage and Black Mage here, but it is possible. Also possible to get an encounter on the off tile, so to speak, the tile that isn't spike tile. So yeah, all of those dangerous encounters I was talking about, you can still get them. How about a War-Mech ambush? Yep, that's possible. Not something you really want to see. But quite a lot of us would choose to kill a War-Mech if we did see one. Partly because it's a War-Mech. Partly also because you get shitloads of EXP for it. So, yeah, that's always nice. Can't say no to a few levels. And that is Poorscythe's third Ice Gigas. Impressive. It was a very quick grind there, by the way. I didn't see, I assume he only went to level 17, because that was very quick. Another strat that you can take a slightly more risky option here is not grinding all the way to level 18. Yeah, I didn't tell you what level you need here, actually. If you stop at level 18 after that grind, you can fairly safely assume that you'll get to level 19 by the time you've taken down Marilith, who is the next boss that we will be heading to. And after that, we will be buying our spells, which we need to be at level 19 to buy. However, you know, if you're trying to save a little bit of time on one or two of these grinding encounters, you can take it down to like level 17. It would be extremely risky to go any lower than that. But taking a risk on the idea that you're going to see a few unrunnable encounters before you get to Marilith. And of course, those give you EXP because you have to kill them. So Shin just hit the grinding spot as well. He's also got stone on his warrior. And also got first turn thunder, which is nice. So yeah, taking his thief out. And he'll just be grinding with Cuckoo and Banzai. So another thing to watch out for while you're watching Shin grind. Always something you want to watch. Is the HP levels of the mages. Not so much the white mage. She's usually got a pretty decent HP pool. But Banzai in particular, you want to be looking for him to be at least about 160, 180 after this is ideal. But yeah, just as long as he's not like at like 60 HP after the grind, because then you're going to have to start to worry. You can't, by the way, in any way manipulate maximum HP levels. It is an RNG thing for every time that you level up. You can either get a small amount of HP or a large amount of HP. You want the large amount of HP, it always seems to be the small one. So yeah, level 17 and only 139. Not ideal. $161, much healthier. Poorscythe, meanwhile, has got himself an airship and headed for the Citadel of Trials. Done a very quick walk over there. I keep saying that. I might just not be paying that much attention. But yeah, the Citadel of Trials, basically a teleporter maze and a short walk around a place that would have very painful encounters if we hadn't already been to the Cavern of Ice and grinded lots. We kind of sequence break a little bit because we're probably meant to come here before we go to the Cavern of Ice, which is why it's so nasty, because we're very underleveled for it. But yeah, not too bad now that we've done our grinding. We just need to go through the trials and grab ourselves a rat's tail. On that note, hi Ray.
Hello.
My co-commentator has just arrived. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well.
You're a bit quiet.
I think I have everything finally set up. Right. So let me get my bearings on where we're at here, because I just tuned into the race. So, Poorscythe is in the Citadel of Trials, and it looks like Shinbreaker just went level 18 grind.
Yeah, I think you've got a little bit of a dodgy connection there. Sound a little bit tinny on my end.
Is this better?
That's much better.
Awesome. Okay. I have a set of headphones that apparently has a microphone.
That is always good, having a microphone.
Yes, you need the airship going to get to the Citadel.
Actually, you don't. You can get there by ship.
That's right.
You can land your ship in the river, and by docking with the canoe. So yeah, it is entirely possible to go there first, and indeed, some routes do actually do that for some of the other consoles. But it's a lot faster to get through it if you've already done your grind.
So you'll notice that Poorscythe just picked up the gauntlets. So he picks up the gauntlets because that allows him to cast Thundra for free. Because Poorscythe uses the items to cast magic. And he just stepped on a spike tile, so he will be hitting these zombie dragons until he's sure that his white mage and his black mage are level 19. Yep, so he's going to hit that spike tile one more time.
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that he'd probably cut his grind a little bit short, hoping for some unrunnable encounters, which he clearly hadn't got. In fact, Poorscythe hasn't been getting very many difficult encounters here.
one of the things I noticed the last race I commentated for Poorscythe is I think he cuts that grind early because he's trying to get some extra levels for his thief to ensure that thief can learn haste.
Ah, right. That is an option. You can learn haste with your thief as well as your black mage in the painful event that your black mage isn't around to cast haste for you.
And the other good thing is if the thief and the black mage both have haste, it can cut about a minute off of your chaos fight time.
A minute?
Something like that.
A whole minute?
Well, okay, maybe not a whole minute. A full round.
I'd put
It'll
it
cut a full round
maybe
off.
About 10, 15 seconds, possibly.
Yeah, so probably about a full round.
Mm-hmm.
So our runners have just high-fived each other as Shin is heading over to the Citadel of Trials, and Poorscythe is headed back to his airship.
And Poorscythe taking his rat's tail to someone who likes rat's tails, as all smart investors do.
Absolutely, because he likes the big tails.
Mm-hmm. Everyone likes big tails.
Now, at this point in the run, this is where you may see the runners deviate a little bit and do things in a different order. And for the most part, the order in whether you get the Oxyl before Mount Gold or after Mount Gold, for the most part, doesn't really matter. It's just that you have to get everything. The runners will kind of converge again at the Sunken Shrine. So Poorscythe doing the class change. And then Kib, did you tell everybody the secret to the Citadel of Trials?
I didn't, actually. I didn't mention it. I thought that maybe they would have to go through the trials themselves. Ha ha ha.
Well, I'll go ahead and spoil it. So in the Citadel of Trials, when you see all the teleporters, the secret is to always choose the bottom teleporter. So even when the teleports are side by side, with the one that's the lowest, that's the one you take.
So yeah, Poorscythe there just did two things. Took his rat's tail to Bahamut, who was like, that's very impressive, you clearly deserve to be a knight. And also, he just glitched the lordly robes onto his white mage, which now means that she is considerably more magically powerful. She will now be taking on quite a lot of the damage dealing role, using items to cast various painful spells in the next place we're going to.
And that's one of the major divergences of root. So if someone's using the black mage plus dagger root, they're using spells on the black mage, so they'll probably put the lordly robes on the black mage. Whereas if you're using the white mage plus dagger root, you're going to have the white mage using items.
Yeah, but we have yet to really decide which of these routes is actually faster. Some of them have got, their own benefits. Some of them have got negatives. I think you just generally have to pay a bit more attention if you're doing the black mage route. You have to look at EXP, if you've got enough to buy spells in the right place, and if you've got enough MP to do things and stuff. But yeah, I don't think anyone's done any kind of task yet to see which one would technically be faster.
And Poorscythe just picked up the Oxyl, which is this magical bubble that allows you to breathe underwater.
So, of course, we promptly go to a volcano, where it will help us not at all.
Absolutely, but here's the interesting thing about the volcano. As you're watching Poorscythe walk, he's ensuring that he walks on as many lava tiles as possible. So the reason he's walking on all the lava tiles is the lava tiles have a 0% encounter rate. So even though he's taking 1 hit point of damage for each step that he takes, as he walks on those tiles, it will allow him to move faster through Mount Gold because he won't have to deal with random encounters. Looks like he's doing a safety save, which is probably a good idea because B4 you could have an unrunnable encounter. And Shinbreaker is now headed to Bahamut. He's going to exchange his rat tail for a class change.
I mean, I don't actually know about the Oxy Ale. I've always kind of just assumed it's a bubble because it starts with Oxy. Also ends with ale, to be fair, so beer. But she does get it out of a lake. So, I don't know. Then again, the lady in the lake got a sword out of the lake, so who knows what fairies can find in lakes.
So Final Fantasy relies heavily on magic and the will and willful disbelief.
Yep, lots of that.
Alright, so Poorscythe having no issues taking down Marilith.
And now he's got his whole party up. So we will be back to the normal way of doing things.
Now, how far would you say Shinbreaker is behind Poorscythe?
It's a bit hard to tell at this point in the game because I think they're doing the same route. In which case, probably about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Possibly 2.5-ish. But yeah, sometimes people do their shopping in different orders, so it's possible that we might not be able to tell for a bit. I do think they might. I think they might both be using my fruit. Could be wrong.
Uh-oh. Shinbreaker's having some issues running away from those hellhounds. This could pose a problem for him.
And that's not because they're unrunnable, I don't think. I'm not sure it's possible for hellhounds to be unrunnable. Despite the fact that
I think they can only be unrunnable if they have an ogre mage.
Yeah. Maybe there's an invisible ogre mage there. I'm pretty sure this game does randomly have invisible encounters sometimes, which is always a bit weird.
So Shinbreaker went with the safe bet, and he went ahead and just used the judgment staff to make sure that he could end the encounter.
Little bit of extra XP for his teeth. Look on the bright side. So meanwhile, Poorscythe is going shopping. He's just bought Haste for his Black Mage, I think. And then Healara for his White Mage. Healara being the only healing spell that we need and love in this run. And then Teleport, which is almost like Exit, which allows you to exit an entire dungeon. But instead, it lets you exit one floor of the dungeon. So you go down a floor. If you keep pressing Teleport, you would eventually get out of the dungeon. But we just use it to speed up our way around some of the dungeons.
And so the Sunken Shrine, which is where Poorscythe is headed next, is the first opportunity you'll see us using Teleport to try and cut a little bit of time off of walking through the dungeon. And one of the things that I never learned until I played Final Fantasy is that mermaids can fly.
They can?
Well, I just saw one. The one that Poorscythe just talked to just flew away.
Oh, indeed. It did just levitate, didn't it? You know, I'd never thought of that.
So, did you mention the difference of cutscenes and which ones you can skip and which ones you can't?
Oh, no, I didn't.
So you'll notice that Poorscythe just skipped that cutscene. What we've figured out is that when you switch graphic engines, that's what allows you to skip a cutscene. So if it's just the sprites, for instance, what you see after each death of a fiend, you can't skip those because it doesn't switch graphic engines. But for instance, the going underwater, the going across the bridge, those types of cutscenes, because it switches graphic engines, you can actually skip through it just by mashing X. So Poorscythe now has an unrunnable encounter with ghosts. There's actually a lot of unrunnables in the Sunken Shrine, so this can be a place where it's one of the great equalizers in the game. And Shinbreaker is making pretty good time moving through Mount Gulg. Let's see. One of the new things that has been added to the run is Poorscythe is going to pick up a light axe on level 4.
The light axe being another very important component of the equipment glitch. That's going to be like our final armor for most of our characters. The survival vest, which again massively increases our agility and is also pretty damn good for defense. So yeah, we'll probably, on most of our characters, we'll be keeping that till Chaos.
And that's one of the great things about the items that we glitch, because it stacks that agility, it makes it really easy to evade. And then even though it may not be the best armor because you're stacking it 3 times, it makes it almost equivalent to some of the best armor as far as the defensive value. And Poorscythe's going through doing survival vest, but he's made a mistake. I don't know if he's going to catch it. He put a survival vest in the shield slot of his Black Mage.
Actually, that's not a mistake. The Black Mage at this point does have a survival vest on to help his agility until kind of endgame, then he gets ribbon.
So does the... Oh, then apparently I'm learning something new. Does the survival vest have an animation on the shield slot?
No, it doesn't. It's one of the things that you can put on the shield slot.
Okay.
Survival vest, Lordly Robes, and ribbon, and I think there's a couple of other things, but we don't use them.
That's awesome. I only knew about the ribbon and the Lordly Robe, so I just learned something today while commentating.
Yeah, we don't bother putting the survival vest on the Thief and the Warrior, because they're very quickly going to end up with a ribbon there instead. But the Black Mage keeps it for quite a while, in my route at least. Because it's more important for him to go first than it is for him to have that protection from instant death that you get from the ribbon.
Alright, so Shinbreaker has just left Mount Gold. I think he's going to do his magic shopping real quick after he tries to land an airship on houses.
You never want to try and land an airship on houses. Definitely going to get quite a lot of complaints from the council on that.
But the nice thing is, light warriors can do what they want.
Yes, that is true. You can say, "Bruh, I'm the warrior of light. Please."
Right, so he's now headed to Melmond to do the last of his magic shopping. And Poorscythe is on the last floor of the Sunken Shrine, and he'll be meeting Kraken. Nice thing is, because the way we do this route, Kraken for the most part is a humongous pushover. But he still does look really cool with that purple cape.
Yeah, he's a pushover with swag. Yeah, I just said swag, non-ironically. I'm tired, okay? Let me up.
Shinbreaker's making his way to the Sunken Shrine right now. But he just got ambushed by a giant millipede-looking thing.
Never want to be ambushed by that many legs. So yeah, Kraken punching for 3 damage. How will we cope? And then he goes down. You'd think with all those tentacles, he could at least manage like 1 damage per tentacle. But no.
The survival vests just make it so easy to survive.
That is one good thing about survival vests.
Now here's the thing I find interesting. So we've already resurrected 2 crystals. And the light warriors are going to be completely surprised yet again that a light crystal turns on. So this obviously shows that the standardized test scores to be a light warrior are not very high.
I mean, I think the only thing that you really need to be a warrior of light is turn up with a crystal. So you could grab that off anyone in the street.
Well, that's the same reason.
Maybe the warriors of light in this game actually just mugged the proper warriors of light for their crystals.
Maybe this is like Final Fantasy III. Maybe they're not really the Warriors of Light. Maybe they're the Warriors of Dark.
Maybe. Maybe they're the warriors of not very smart.
I mean, we already have the foldable canoe. That's a Minwu thing from FF2, so you never know. So Shinbreaker having a little bit of RNG bad luck
He's had that through most of his run, to be honest.
Ugh. So you can't run from Sahagin Chiefs, Sahagin Princes.
But they are weak to thunder. So you can give them a little bit of a thunder.
So, Golan, what you didn't know is that anytime Kib is paired up with somebody else, it always turns into 8-bit theater.
Wow. Golan, did you like the dry commentary? Was it fun? Shall we stop with the vaguely amusingness?
So Poorscythe is in the Waterfall Cavern, which, as near as I can tell, has some of the worst RNG in the game. Like, it's not uncommon to only be able to take 3 or 4 steps and have another encounter. Which, as long as you're very familiar with the cave, you're good to go. If you get a little frustrated or flustered, you can take a wrong turn, and it can take a little bit to re-find yourself in the cave and get to where you need to go.
Yeah, and you can take 3 steps in the wrong direction, realize, and go back in the other direction, and have ended up with about 6 encounters.
But Poorscythe is focused like a shark with a laser. So he's moving to the room that we need to get the warp cube.
Excellent. We have 8-bit theatre approval. All cannons gone on 8-bit theatre. All cannons gone. Wow, I am not with it right now.
So Poorscythe stepped on a spike tile. He's got a bunch of cockatrices and a pyrolisk. So this could be bad. But so far, nobody's been stoned, and the pyrolisk attacked and didn't do the instant death move.
Yeah, at this point, you can dodge pretty much everything that the pyrolisks throw at you. So they're very lucky if they get an attack in, and if that attack then has the low chance of one-hit killing on the 2 members of your party who don't actually know they've all not got a ribbon at this point. But yeah, you're pretty safe. You got a pretty good dodge.
Our malfunctioning robot has given us the warp cube, and then
Buzz
what Poorscythe's going to do here is actually the only time that we do the glitch in reverse. So he'll take the ribbon, and he's going to glitch a Gigan X, and then he'll turn around and start glitching ribbons onto his characters. So it's the only time in the run where we will glitch an item that we're not going to use to turn around and glitch more of an item that we will use a lot.
I didn't bother explaining the equipment glitch today. I was kind of like, if you haven't already watched 20 runs and learnt what the equipment glitch is, ask. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you have.
And there's an awesome there's a bunch of YouTube tutorials. So
this is true.
I watched at least 3 or 4 when I was trying to learn the glitch.
I believe Chrono Kirby did the most famous one. But yeah, I'm sure if you Google FF1 equipment glitch, it won't be too hard to find.
And so Poorscythe happens to just know that Dr. Une can use the Rosetta Stone to learn Lufenian. And so again, with the suspension of disbelief, he's going to learn Lufenian in a matter of seconds by using the Rosetta Stone, and then he will turn around and teach you Lufenian in a matter of seconds.
Yep. Isn't it wonderful having magic learning tools?
It is. I wish learning languages in real life was that simple. It took me at least a year before I felt comfortable speaking Ukrainian and Russian.
At least a year to learn 2 languages.
Well,
you sure you didn't have your own Rosetta Stone?
Oh, well, I had learned and studied Ukrainian, but then lived in a Russian-speaking area.
Oh, wow. Okay. That explains things. Exciting life.
Well, I try to live life on the edge. Speaking of the edge, Poorscythe is doing his best to try and avoid those forest tiles that are full of hill gigases and zombie minotaurs. So he's going to maximize his walking on marsh tiles. And you'll notice he also whipped out the canoe and tried to use the freshwater because those have lower encounter rate. I'd say that Poorscythe probably has added about at least another minute to his lead. He's probably about 3 minutes ahead now.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at my PB splits, actually, which is about a 126. Poorscythe's Chime, currently on a 110. So I think he's probably on about a 128, 29 pace at the moment, which would rather link up to all his previous runs, which have all been 129s for the last few weeks. Being very consistent.
Well, he's been
Fortunately,
for a
that means that
125.
Shin's going to have to really catch up. What was that, sorry?
I was going to say that when he's not streaming during the tournament, he's been grinding for a 125.
Yeah, this is true. Grinding for FF1 is really not that much fun. You basically just have to leave yourself in the hands of the game. But yeah, it does mean that he's very practiced, got his autopilot up to perfect, and those menus are very fast. It really helps. You know, the game can still screw you over, but you do everything you can and just hope for the rest.
Yeah, he's one of the runners that I watch just to see what an optimized run looks like.
Yeah, I'm jealous of his menus. He's currently my my person to emulate menus of.
So you'll notice the great thing about the airship is it provides you the opportunity to fly to a landing spot so you can then walk to wherever you're going. So it's one of the ways that the game controls you, where it says, hey, you have this awesome fast air transportation that can take you anywhere, but it can't land anywhere close, so you get to walk. So your warriors of light get very good at cardio. Because physical training is the thing to be a warrior of light. They may not be smart, but they can.
That is true.
They can walk.
There you go, guys. That is the key to saving the world. You don't need brains, don't need brawn. Just make sure you can walk.
Lots of walking.
Ooh, is Poorscythe getting robot blocked there? I'm not sure I've ever seen robot blocking. Does anyone speedrun iOS? That's an excellent question. I think someone mentioned it recently. Was Chris saying about possibly doing it on iOS?
I know Chris has been practicing the 3DS port of Final Fantasy.
Ah, right. Yeah, I'm not sure it's any, I believe it's probably the same version as this one, Kugel. Probably just, made... Is it for touchscreen?
It is.
I don't know how you would optimize this game for touchscreen. Yeah, it's probably, in terms of routing and stuff, probably the same run as this one.
So what Poorscythe just showed us is that the only elemental that you can run from in this entire game is the air elemental. Some of the other elementals, depending on what they're paired up with, you can run away from. But air elementals, you can always run away from.
Do you know what we haven't hyped up yet?
War mech.
Guys, have you heard of a war mech? It's not 6 black flans, that's for sure. It is a big robot on the 5th floor of the Flying Fortress. It's very rare. We like him a lot. He hasn't shown up very much this tournament. We'd like that to change.
See, Warmech's problem was when he was in high school, he didn't get passed out to prom or homecoming. So he's a little shy. So if you guys can do some Warmech hype in the chat, maybe we can see him.
Like, if someone asks him out, he might be right here and ready to kiss, hug, make up, everything be okay again.
Well, at least with Poorscythe, it doesn't look like we're going to get to see the Warmech. So maybe Shin will be able to kind of crack that seal.
It has a glitch where you always get the least stat up on level. Oh, wow, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds almost like the opposite of a TAS. Like, you're getting all the worst RNG.
Well, I'm looking on speedrun.com. It doesn't look like anybody has attempted the iOS. It's not even on there.
That would be great then, if you're interested.
Then you can torture yourself with RNG on a touchscreen.
Meanwhile, Shin getting trolled some more. Who would have thought? Yeah, these guys, you don't want to see too many mantle zombies. I think you might have just mentioned this, and I just spaced out. But yeah, they're unrunnables. You have to kill them with the major staff there, which takes a little bit of time. Not something you want. And Poorscythe has successfully exited the Flying Fortress with no war mech in sight. Come on, guys, you didn't flirt with him enough.
So the nice thing with Shin using the Mage's Staff is it allows him to cast Fire, which is a 3 to 4 second animation, as opposed to Flare with the Judgment Staff, which is an 8-second animation. So over the period of the run, it can add a lot of time, even though you're using the most powerful spell in the game. The animation time can add a lot to your run. Poorscythe has entered the Chaos Shrine. Now here's something fun. This ominously cloaked figure is going to open up a dungeon that we want absolutely no part of. It's a time dungeon, but if you didn't know any better, you would probably go there instead of in this room. Now here's a cool bit of Final Fantasy trivia. These bats all around you, they're Lufenians. Yes, boys and girls, Lufenians. Now that you know Lufenian, you can talk to them, and they no longer say key. They will actually tell you their long, sad tale of how they screwed up and Chaos got the drop on them.
Basically, they're like the Warriors of Light before us, but they're way more rubbish, and that's why they got turned into bats. And you were brought this fact courtesy of Ray, who is, in fact, Batman, and talks to bats.
I had to learn another language. I had to have 3. So I figured I would learn Lufenian so that Russian, way I can talk to bats.
Russian, Ukrainian, and Lufenian to talk to bats.
And little did you know, bats are very good conversationalists. They can tell you a lot about how the world could have ended.
Question is, are they better than Russians and Ukrainians?
Well, at least they don't drink as much vodka.
I can second that one. My brother-in-law is Ukrainian. Oh, the vodka.
So the thing about the Chaos Shrine is, just like the Sunken Shrine, there's a lot of unrunnable encounters. So again, this is an opportunity for Shin to try and make up a little bit of time. Unfortunately, the Flying Fortress has not been very kind to him.
Did Poorscythe just haste his warrior?
He did. And
that was an interesting choice. I believe he probably just forgot to put defend on his black mage. But it made for an interesting battle strategy.
Now, cool tidbit of information. So if you look at Shin, he's in the Flying Fortress. In the NES version of the game, it looks very futuristic and space agey. And here, in the PSP version, they just went with a slick-looking castle. With robots.
Yeah, can't have a castle without robots. 5th floor of the Flying Fortress again. Mind Flayers and Clay Golems. Not exactly Warmech. He'll show up eventually, guys. Maybe he's waiting for the finals. Dragon zombies are weak to fire, so there was only 2 of them there, so we could take them down with attacks faster than using magic attacks. Ice Kicks is here, also weak to fire, but they have a little bit more HP, which means we're going to be using the Judgment stuff.
Shin having no trouble with Tiamat and taking him down.
Looks like Banzai is not playing for anyone other than me at the moment.
Well, you were the one that came up with the Banzai strategy, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just playing with some names. I just thought it sounded like a grand name that he might feel the need to live up to, and it just worked. But I don't know if it works for everyone else. That's the question.
I know Chris has been trying. He's been trying to channel it.
Shin's bands, I hear, is currently on 167. There's potentially time for him to grow, but it's not looking good.
So Poorscythe is on the Earth level of the Chaos Shrine, and you'll see him doing a safety save shortly, because Lich, both the first time you engage him and the second time, if he outmoves you, if his speed rolls high enough, he can cast an area of effect spell that will wipe out your entire party.
And actually, no, both of these guys have been going quite easy on the safety saves. They're kind of just really running for it as fast as they can. But luckily, Poorscythe's character's got a decent amount of HP, well, except for the Black Mage, and managed to survive that flare. Let's hope he heals. Yep. I was half scared he was just going to run off then, with like 30 HP on all his characters.
I think it's really interesting that, for the most part, the first fiend that you face, both in the Chaos Shrine as well as on the Overworld, is the most dangerous one in this run. The other fiends, for the most part, don't put up much of a fight.
I mean, Tiamat's nasty on all of these, but not as nasty.
So Poorscythe getting ready to do his second encounter with Marilith. Now, one of the things that's important to know in the Chaos Shrine is that the fiends are on spike tile. So if you make the mistake and step the wrong direction, you will have to refight the fiend, which can cost you about 1 minute to 2 minutes of time.
Yeah, everyone has done that once or twice. You never make the mistake again, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it ruined a PB for me because I totally had no idea that could happen.
Yep. Always, speedrunners always learning things the hard way. It's like a rite of initiation, really. Like FF9, you have to get cleaved by Iron Giants. You know, no one bothers telling you. It just has to happen to you once. You have to lose your run about 9.5 hours in to one random encounter. then you're an FF9 runner.
That sounds terrible.
Yep.
So
I was not best pleased.
So Shin is using the loot. Now, something important to know is that in the NES version, you could leave the throne room and not ask Princess Sarah for the loot, and you could get to this point in the game, not have the loot, not be able to progress, and now that you're in the Chaos Shrine, you can't go back to get it. So the NES version was set up to do an ultimate troll on you. Luckily, they fixed that in the PSP version, and it won't let you out without picking it up.
Shin is not having a bad Chaos Shrine here. Don't think it's going to be fast enough to catch up to Poorscythe unless all kinds of drama happens, which is, of course, always possible with Chaos. Never say never.
Well, the most important thing with the Chaos fight is making sure that all your party's equipment is correct to maximize what the healing on the white mage.
Yeah. Also, just making sure that Chaos isn't an absolute nasty person. Which is entirely possible. There are several ways that Chaos can kill you. We will get to those in a minute. But yeah, it is possible for a runner to get to the last fight 2 minutes ahead, and then suddenly find themselves having to restart it.
Alright, Poorscythe's going through making sure that all his characters have ribbon, and that he's put the Barbarian Sword on the Black Mage. And he's trying to stack as many intelligence items on his White Mage as possible. Ideally, what we want is for the white mage to be casting a healer that's doing 240 to 260 of HP a turn.
Of course, one of the nasty things about the early Final Fantasy games is that you have to put in all your commands at the beginning of the turn when you don't know what the boss is going to do. So we heal at the end of every single turn. And we make sure she hasn't got too much agility boosting equipment, so she always will go at the end of the turn after everyone else, which stops Chaos from getting 2 turns in a row and potentially wiping us out.
Now, Poorscythe has really lucked out here. Chaos hit his knight, and then he's able to, because the ninja has such a high HP, he was able to cast haste twice in the first round. So this should speed up his chaos fight by at least a round.
Yeah, this is going to be a very nice chaos fight, hopefully.
So Shin making short work of Lich 2, and he's going to quickly enter the fire floor of the Chaos Shrine. And at this point, Poorscythe is at the just hold X and don't screw up.
Of course, the only person who can mess things up now is Chaos.
Although his HP values are high enough that even a Cyclone probably would be okay.
Yeah, probably. Of course, you can always have a critical attack, which can pretty much one-shot anyone with these HP values. Not something we've really seen in the tournament so far, but it does happen.
Shin making his way to Kraken 2, and Poorscythe has completed the run.
In time of 1:27:47 on SRL. Which apparently is a race PB. Though, of course, we all know he's got like a 125 or something.
Yeah, I think he's number 4 on the leaderboard right now.
He's doing pretty good at the moment. But yeah, it was a great run from Poorscythe. Some rather nice RNG early on. And good execution all the way through. Shin, of course, struggling with a bit more RNG there. But he's making his way to the end in what's probably going to be quite a respectable time.
Yeah, he's probably going to finish in about a 132, I would think, at this point.
Yep, that's always a respectable race time.
Well, that's one of the things that's so interesting about how the run has developed from the beginning. In the Total Chaos 1 tournament, from what I understand, a good run was high 130s. And the way the run has been optimized over the past 2 years, now most of the people that are really high in the tournament right now are finishing in the high 120s.
Yeah, I mean, there's been several changes of routes, I think. I think there was a new route just before last year's Total Chaos tournament, and then there was a new route that someone made afterwards, you know, inspired by all the runs done during the tournament. And then the Black Mage route came out just before the Total Chaos tournament this year. So there's been several route upgrades that have really taken that time down a bit in the last few years. And of course, there's always those odd random runs like our world record that just have an incredible RNG and just are 2 minutes faster than everyone else.
Well, one of the things that's been interesting watching this run is that for the most part, it doesn't seem to matter what route you're taking. Some of the people with the best times are using an older route with Barbarians or Judgment Staff.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone's using Last Daggers nowadays. I think that's very much a helpful thing. But some of the other differences in the routes don't seem to make that much of a difference when faced up against FF1 and its RNG. That's not me. Thanks for looking, Steedwood. That is not us. I think this might be the command for it.
I've tried it a couple times. It hasn't
it's not
been
working.
It may be because I joined so late.
Well, if you're interested, the first one is me, and the second one, I believe, is right Anush.
There you have it. So Shin doing his last-minute equipment movements.
Putting that ribbon on the clothes slots. That's a slight route upgrade. Gives us a little bit more healing power, and also make sure that we don't have any survival vests to speed us up. Recently had a runner lose their run to having accidentally left a survival vest on the White Mage, because you don't want her to go fast.
No, she
That is
absolutely
not her
has
job.
has to heal on the last move possible. Because the worst thing that happens is that Chaos gets to move twice between White Mage heals, which used to happen to me before I realized how to optimize her equipment. Which was highly frustrating the first couple of runs I was doing.
Yep. Always annoying when you know you're doing something wrong, but you're not sure what exactly.
So you'll notice that because his thief is under 300 HP, he's going to put Giant's Tonic on him, just to make sure that his HP value is high enough that some of the stronger AoE attacks like Cyclone and Tsunami won't kill the thief, because we really need the thief at this point.
But yeah,
Oh wait, he didn't do that.
no, he didn't. He's clearly taken a bit of a risk here. As you can see, Tsunami and Cyclone can do some serious damage, and after this White Mage's heal this turn, he's going to have about 270 HP, which is even more dangerous, because Cyclone can definitely do that much damage.
So fingers crossed, because the thief is the heavy damage dealer at this point, so we don't want to lose him.
Blizzaga. That's a good sign. Blizzaga much weaker than his other magic attacks.
That puts the thief at a safe margin, so it should only be a Cyclone that'll take the thief down at this point.
Yep. And having that turn to heal up to full in between, very helpful. So everyone hasted up, and White Mage healing at the end of every turn. Just got to wait and see what chaos throws your way. Most of the time, just ignore it. Though sometimes you can choose to cast haste on a character if he uses slower. But at this point, I think Shin is just going to keep attacking and finish him off.
Yeah, the main thing at this point. Oh, and that's time.
There we go. Yep. And that's SRL time of 1:34:15. So yeah, not bad at all. I think we can definitely see that RNG was on one runner's side today. But yeah, a great race from both of these guys. Unfortunately, that means that Poorscythe will be going through to the next round of the tournament and making his way up the losers bracket, whereas Shin unfortunately ends his journey here.
But the nice thing is, I think Shin is one of the few people that's been in the tournament every year, and I think he's qualified for the double elimination portion every year.
That is true, yeah.
Let's see if the runners elect to do any interviews.
I think we might be getting Poorscythe in here in a minute. Shin possibly taking a bit of a breather before he gets in here. But yeah, we are joined by Poorscythe. Congratulations! Also by Shin as well. Yep, they're both in here. Hi guys! GG to both of you.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. Congratulations, Poorscythe.
Is Poorscythe in here? I think he might be having mic problems, possibly.
Oh,
But yeah,
there we go.
Shin. Oh, there he
Wrong
is.
button.
He's
Wrong
here.
button.
How are you feeling, Poorscythe?
Very happy with that overall.
Yeah, great run.
I'm feeling less so.
You've had so many encounters, ambushes,
Yeah.
wolves,
My
everything.
total number of encounters is actually fairly low. Usually it runs about 180, 200. I only had 162 encounters, but they were just
Oh,
really
right.
bad ones.
I was gonna say it felt like more.
But actually, at the very end there, toward the end of the game, I started making up a lot of time. So I don't have as many splits as most people. Want to hit the fiend, just kind of have one split per fiend until I get the Chaos Shrine.
Mhm.
And so between my Kraken and Tiamat splits, that's one entire split. I saved 3 minutes on that split and got a gold.
Oh wow, nice.
So like the later part of the game actually went really well for me.
Yeah, I did notice you were making up some time, but someone was also having excellent RNG and a
Yeah.
really good run in general.
The first half of my run was really bad. It started with me having my party out of order at the very beginning of the game and having to, in the first town, reorganize my party.
Whoops.
Yeah, slight details. And some of my early menuing was really bad. But,
Yeah, you guys both had a little bit of trouble with the Thieves Omelette menu.
yeah, listen to that.
That's a little bit.
So, with the stream delay, I heard you saying, oh, Shin's gonna make some time here because Lino's having because Poorscythe's having problems. I'm like, nope.
I was confused because like I was failing it so many times the first time that I thought I did something wrong.
Yeah,
same
that's
here.
that moment when
I
you
was
start thinking, is it
Sorry.
me or is it the game?
Yeah, I started looking to see if I'd actually equip the hammer on a weapon slot or something.
Mhm.
Because that's been known to happen in the tournament, and yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I made many mistakes. I mean, that menu for the Knight's Armor, or no, the Thief's Armlet, and then after Tiamat was done, I just queued up attacks automatically for the Black Mage for 2 rounds, doing haste twice.
I had such faith in you that I was fairly sure you were doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
No, I just usually forget that it's on haste, and I
Ooh, what is this Black Mage haste strat? I haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
I'm
What
always
you're
good
saying
for
is I
like
shouldn't have
ones.
added that to my study list.
Well, you can. I mean, it turned into a pretty nice time here.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the key to the 127 is just accidental haste.
Yeah. In battle, my biggest mistake I think I made was I tried using the black garb on some water elementals
Oh right, yeah, that's always a good try.
instead of the black robes.
Yeah, I mean, had a very... Honestly, I don't think I fell more than like a little more than 3 minutes behind my splits at any point.
Yeah, it
Which,
was a
I
very
mean,
good run for
it's
you.
very consistent, very nice and straightforward. And I really didn't have a lot of mistakes. I really didn't get a lot of really poor encounters or anything. So I just kept motoring along and was just in great shape. And I mean,
this
getting
time
a-
your opponent didn't bop you by like 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice. But I mean, if I had had this time against Cruel, I would have beaten him because this is better than his PB.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just wish the whole game could be my last quarter, because I was behind my PB by over 5 minutes at Merilith, and I was only behind by less than 3 at the end. So I made up a lot of time at the end.
Yeah.
I just wish, I hate wasting gold.
Well, you can add that to your Summerfest and enjoy the memory.
Yeah. But
That
being
time
said,
when FF1 was kind to you too late.
that being said, I am now out of the tournament. For the second time, I've been eliminated the same tournament.
Oh.
With a weird twist of fate, I got in kind of on a wild card slot unexpectedly to get into the brackets. So
it just
Yeah,
wasn't going to be the same without you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll still be around. I'll still be here occasionally to talk when I'm not working.
I was going to
do-
say, stick around for commentary. We need
Yeah.
some commentary.
Yes.
You've got time to pick up a third job now if you want.
Yeah. I actually have a third. So so a fourth. But
Wow.
but yeah, it's been great fun. I want to thank everybody for putting this tournament together. Every year, this is just a little season of just pure fun and hatred, kind of combination of the two.
I was going to say pure fun or fun with some misery mixed in.
Yeah. Well, the fun is pure. The misery, hatred, angst, rage is also pure. It's a mixture of two pure elements.
You have to channel the hate.
Well, and the RNG gives you lots of opportunity for that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised that this turned into a race PB, but I suppose it is kind of difficult to get into 127 and 128 times with the way races can very easily go anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, there came a point where I just wasn't safety saving a lot of times when I would have otherwise, because I knew you were so far ahead of me.
I noticed you were both doing that. I was like, whoa, okay, everyone's going for it.
I mean, I took more saves than I usually do. Just because
Really?
I just don't like losing time to wipes and things like that, and they can happen so easily.
Yeah.
So, and once you're ahead, the easiest way to stay ahead is just to take saves.
Yeah, that's
in my
true.
experience. So, I mean,
Which is why I wasn't taking them.
I mean, I had a fantastic run to Vampire, and it was like so good that I basically saved right after Vampire, just so I didn't have to do that floor again and get a terrible one.
Yeah.
Did that when I saved in Mount Gulg, which I don't usually do either. I just like to blitz through that. But can never be too certain. Can never be too certain or safe in a race.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and bow out for the evening. I want to thank everybody for having me here. Everyone, make sure you follow Poorscythe and Rain and Kib and ignore
Speed
me.
gaming.
Yeah, Speed Gaming. Subscribe.
Yeah.
It's a good channel.
Follow those runners and those commentators. And Speed Gaming if you're not following them already. But
So yeah, I think that's it from us. If anyone's got anything else they want to say as a last comment.
No, just shout outs to Fiesel for helping us once again with restreaming these matches. Only have maybe a dozen left between now and the end of the tournament, but each one of them's going to get exciting.
Close at the top.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the matches develop this week and then from here on out.
Yeah, and also thanks to Rayanis for coming and rescuing my poor throat halfway through the match.
Oh, you're welcome. That was a pleasure.
But yeah, I think that's it from us. Thanks everyone for watching and all your questions and comments and stuff. And we'll see you in the next match.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Have a
Good
good
night.
Thanks for tuning in. Good night.